What's up, Alfred? What happened with all those
Hey,
technical difficulties?
hey, you guys know that when it does that double loop on the on the video portion on the StreamYard, you have a little check mark, and it puts you keep it on double loop. You put the check mark. Well, if you don't remove it, it goes double loop. So that's what happened to us, man. Welcome,
It's not
welcome, everyone.
Daulo Lupe. Okay. All
Yep.
right. Whatever. All right. So I guess all right. So last time we were talking about doing like a backstage type of thing right at the beginning and then jump into it. So I don't want to say that we don't know what we're doing, but it almost feels it almost feel like that way. But anyways, welcome to Lexit Podcast in Spanish. And if you listen in English, is because we're talking in English too. So we'll try to do a mix. We'll see what's up. So if you don't know about us, go to Lexit. We are Lexit.com and learn more about us. We're just conservative people that we're just trying to build our values. Which, by the way, I didn't tell you guys this before we get jump on. But guess what I did today? I voted today.
That's right.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. I
Oh,
went to vote today because I was looking at my schedule for work and I was like, man, I'm gonna be out of town
mhm.
on the 5th, so I'm not gonna be able to vote. And I had all these plans already to have a big old sign that says not a U.S. citizen, do not vote, in English and Spanish. I mean, really, I was gonna do that, but man, I'm gonna be out of town now for the whole week, so I'm like, man, I can't. So I was like, I gotta go and vote right now. So I went and asked for my absentee ballot, and they're like, you can fill it up right here, right now, if you want. I was like, yeah, I'm ready. So, Trump all the way and down the ballot, Republican, and submitted my vote and done. It's done. So,
100%.
yeah,
Nice.
That's a good thing. So, hey, if you guys have not voted, please do it now because do not wait. Look, Latinos, we always want to wait till the last minute. You know what I mean? Like,
salen mejor las cosas
yeah,
así.
¿sabes qué? Vamos a esperar al último momento. Yeah, and then look
Yeah,
at what happened with Arizona. Everybody waited for the last minute. Then you see the shenanigans, and then people are complaining like the machines are down and
¿De
blah blah
chiqué?
blah. Yeah, the machines are the shenanigans. The machines are down. ¿Y qué pasó? Nah,
Yeah.
no, a lot of people did not vote. So come on, let's get to it. Vamos a
Yeah,
votar. Let's do it early. So there's no shenanigans, and we could just take care of a vote. Trump 2024 y vámonos.
yep. All right, so. Anyways, coming back to the intro, so you guys know Alfred from California, Frankie from Nevada, and your servidor aquí desde Alabama, Oscar. So you can call me Oscar. Please practice with me, Oscar. Uh, so, anyways, so today we have a show. We want to show you a few things today. We have some videos we're gonna share with you, but I want to talk about how things work. I don't know if you guys work in a corporation before. I have worked in a corporation before, but if you guys have worked in a corporation before, you know how corporates they want to pull a lot of the jobs away from the local sites and they want to centralize everything. I always seen that and I'm like, that does not work because you're removing the people who's in the front lines leading with the people, dealing with the people directly, and now you're trying to put some other guy out there in some other state or city who does not know what's going on over here, and I feel like that does not really work. And the reason I'm saying all this is because that's how government, in my mind, should work. You have the federal government, who is like an umbrella on top of all the states, and the states have to have the local leadership, and the leaders need to be working with the people directly. You don't need the governor to be telling what's going on at the small school board meeting. I mean, unless some big's going on there, but you want to delegate the leadership to the leaders who are there with the people. That's how it works best in my mind. That's how you make government small too, and that's how you bring the people who cares about a subject to basically have what they want and what they need. Because when you're removing all this and you just turn it all the way to Washington, well, they don't know, and they're not going to have all the energy and know-how and knowledge about what's going on in your local community to care for you and what you're doing. So the whole point of this, I saw this article from WEF, the World Economic Forum, that let me see if man, I was not ready this time. I'm sorry. Let me pull up the image. But basically, what they're saying is that they want to stop uh, households from growing food, in your own home. That means that if you're growing some tomates and chiles and jalapenos in the backyard, they want the governments to impose laws and regulations against you, so you cannot do it. This is not how things are supposed to work. Those people out there, they're not even from the states. They don't care about us. They care about a global agenda. And honestly, I don't care about a global agenda. I care about our people right here, right now, that we're dealing with, face to face. You can't really have someone out there who doesn't know your name or my name or what you interests are, and tell you what to do. So let me I'm sorry. Let me pull up this picture. Hold on.
100%. And while he's saying that, that is a true fact, man. When you have the World Economic Forum, this is just a gathering of people outside of the United States that are making these kind of laws that in fact are impacting us as the U.S. citizens, right? So now you have a World Economic Forum, you have a world leaders, right, getting together and formulating, creating these kind of laws, or implying these kind of things. Like, can you imagine the Latino? I mean, come on, we grow our stuff in the house. I mean, come on, you guys know that every Latino, I don't know in Puerto Rico, but in Mexico, we have our tomates in the backyard. We have our chiles in the backyard. All right, we have our guayabas, our oranges, right? We have. How is that going to affect me as a Latino person that cooks? That homegrown cooks. Actually, I don't buy this stuff. I create it on my house. You know what I mean? I'm giving them out to the neighbors. We have mostaza every other, every fall, every spring we have mostaza that I'm giving out to my Vietnamese neighbors. We have cilantro that we're giving out to our people in the Central America. So think a lot of this stuff. This is a big deal to me because I am a homegrown. I grow my stuff at home. So them telling me that I'm no longer going to be able to grow my own stuff, I'm gonna raise so many papers. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, who's gonna pay for my stuff? You know what I mean? Like, who are you? You don't pay my bills. People don't pay my bills to tell me what I gotta grow. Next time, are they gonna tell us not to grow our chickens? You know what I mean? Like, come on, like pollo, come on now. We
Yeah.
eat chicken. All right.
Mhm.
So
And
anyhow,
just
sorry,
and
it's a
just
little.
and just to add in how you were saying, this is the World Economic Forum. This is a very small group of elitists who were not elected, right? So if we have a small organization that is now choosing what policies, taking this authority upon themselves to decide what policies are going to be urgent for our government to push without us even choosing or voting for these policies, right? You're already violating several rights, several rights. And so one of the things that people do really need to understand, this is why I always say the best way to combat everything that's going on is that you need to seek personal excellence. So that means you need to understand and study finance. You need to understand tax. You need to study economics, how policies work, how local politics work. Because if you understand how all of this intertwines with each other, and then you understand your constitutional rights, you'll see when they're overstepping those boundaries and those rights, because now you're getting into that realm of authoritarianism, right? So just putting that aside, where they're violating your constitutional rights by telling you what you can or cannot grow on your own property, this entire scam is completely based on this idea of we need to control the carbon emission, we need to lower carbon footprint, we need to do this for the environment. So you're telling me, as the leader of the World Economic Forum, the best way for us to protect our environment is to give the government authority to have to ship and import products to every state instead of allowing the communities to sell local produce. Because if you're doing this for the environment to have the biggest positive impact on the environment, you want everything to be as local as possible. So now, if you're removing this, if you're stripping us from this right to grow our own food, which they always say, oh, you have a right to this and right to medical care. Well, if you have a right to medical care, you should also have the right to food and to grow your own food. So now you're also affecting small businesses. What about all of the local farmers, all of the small businesses that are providing food and goods and products for their communities? They're actually lowering the carbon footprint, and now you're going to be stripping them from their income. Right. So it's all of these things when you actually look at the root of the issue and the root of why they're proposing these policies, it doesn't make any sense at all. And the only question that you can ask is, well, if this was actually for the environment, how is this actually helping the environment? Because it's actually doing the opposite. So if that's the case, then this is purely for control. So you can inject whatever you want into the foods, whatever you want. You can control the prices, you can control what products are on the market. Everything is about control. It is never the reason that they're actually telling you. There's always something else behind the scenes.
Yeah, and this is the same people that was telling the farmers to kill the cows. That was happening in Europe because they fart too much or something like that. I mean, really? Because they fart too much and that's CO2, whatever, man. And then this is also the same people that wants to ban your gas stoves. I mean, come on, really? How you gonna tatemar los chiles? It's like you need the gas stove for that. There's no other way for that salsa to be made. So this is the same people. So, and the economy is already really bad thanks to Bidenomics
Mhm.
and Harris opportunity economy that she wants to introduce, whatever. So the economy is bad. And here's the thing about inflation. Inflation is driven by government and government alone. I'm gonna pull that video in a minute, but this is from let me cue up that video. This is from Milton Friedman, and this is an American economist, a statistician who received the 1976 Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science for his research in consumption analysis, monetary history, and theory and complexity and stabilization policy. Yes, I have to write that down and I have to read it. So anyway, I'm going to share this video from this guy. And this is one of the smart guys. So you listen to what he's saying. Inflation is driven
in the
by
modern
government.
era. The important next step is to recognize that today governments control the quantity of money, so that as a result, inflation in the United States is made in Washington and nowhere else. Of course, no government any more than any one of us likes to take responsibility for bad things. We're all of us human. If something bad happens, it wasn't our fault. And the government is the same way. So it doesn't accept responsibility for inflation. If you listen to people in Washington talk, they will tell you that inflation is produced by greedy businessmen, or it's produced by grasping unions, or it's produced by spendthrift consumers, or maybe it's those terrible Arab sheiks who are producing it. Now, of course, businessmen are greedy. Who of us isn't? Trade unions are grasping. Who of us isn't? And there's no doubt that the consumer is a spendthrift. At least every man knows that about his wife. But none of them produce inflation, for the very simple reason that neither the businessman, nor the trade union, nor the housewife has a printing press in their basement on which they can turn out those green pieces of paper we call money. Only Washington has that printing press, and therefore only Washington can produce inflation.
I mean, you can see it right there. This is driven from Washington, and what I was saying earlier about this big government, they just want to add more regulations, and to add more regulations and to add to the government, you just need to increase the budget. To increase the budget means you need more money. If you need more money, well, you need to get that from taxes, right? But if that money is not coming, and they need to pay people, for their government spending, and not to mention all the money they're sending, overseas, and all the little bit of money that FEMA's got now because it can't even help our own people. But anyway, so all this spending basically is driven by this big government. So government needs to be small. That's what needs to happen. The economy is bad. The government needs to start spending less money, and this is not going to happen unless our whole Congress fully responsible for all this. And this is bad on the left and on the right side. They're just passing this. What do they call, Frankie? The unibus or
The
spending omnibus?
omnibus.
Yeah,
Mhm.
spending. I mean, come on, really? You have to like budget things. You have to itemize it and things like that. But they don't want to do that. Instead, they're telling us to deal with it.
Mhm.
And I want to show this video if you can cue it up there so we can see it.
Me gastaba unos $200
I used to
semanales
spend
en comida. Ahora me
$250
estoy
a
gastando
week in
hasta
food, and
350.
now it goes up
We
to
went from spending
$350.
$200 to over $350 in groceries.
No nada más ha subido la comida, sino
Not only
utilidades como
do
electricidad,
I talk about
agua,
food,
la
but
ropa, todo está muy
utilities,
caro.
clothes,
For
everything
utilities
is
like
much more
water
expensive.
and energy, and clothes.
Sí, y bueno, pues yo soy de la clase media. Y trabajo
I am
muy
middle
fuerte,
class,
igual que
and I
todos de la
work
clase media trabajamos
a
muy
lot,
fuerte.
and just
Usted
like
acaba de
everybody else
decir al
in the middle
principio que
class,
somos
we
ambiciosos.
work very
Nada
hard.
más que
You
esa
said we're
ambición a
ambitious,
veces
but
es
that
dura de
ambition,
mantener
sometimes it's
cuando
really
vemos que está
difficult to
subiendo y no
keep up
podemos
with because we see life is
mantenernos
going up
al
and
tanto o
we
salir
just
adelante.
simply
I'm
cannot
a
go ahead. We
middle-class
can't move
working
ahead.
Women, and you said we're ambitious, but it's hard to maintain that ambition when conditions are so hard, so challenging.
Yes. Mi pregunta es entonces,
So
¿qué va a hacer
my
usted
question
para
is
ayudarnos
as
a la
follows.
clase
What are
media
you going
a
to
que
do
no
to
nos
help the
destruya
middle class
el costo de
so
vida?
that the
How are you
cost
gonna make sure that the
of
cost of life
living
doesn't
does not
destroy
destroy
the
us?
middle class?
Thank you for the question and your point. Listen, I know prices are too high still. You know prices are
I
too
grew
high
up in a
still.
middle class family.
And we have to deal with it. Here's how I feel about it. Again, you've heard my story. I come from the working class. I'm never going to forget where I come
Oh
from.
my
There it
goodness.
is. There it
And
is.
part of what we have to do is build what I call an opportunity economy,
Oh, there.
where people have the opportunity, like you have described, for you to be able to work hard and your 5 daughters
Yes.
have an opportunity to then do what they and what you aspire for them to be able to do without having to worry about just getting by. I want you to be able to get ahead. So here's my plan. It includes what we need to do to bring down the cost of, for example, groceries. One of the issues I'm going to be taking on is price gouging.
Now remember, when she's talking about price gouging, this was already thought of in Venezuela. You know what I mean? Like this was already there in Venezuela, right? Remember? Remember that one dictator from Venezuela? You know what's his name? Chihuahua. It's not Maduro.
No.
The other guy, Chavez. Do you
Chavez.
remember? Chavez was the one that he was implementing all this. I'm going to go after the corporations, these people that are gouging, that are just scavenging. Because what happened? Now Chavez pretty much created a monster with Maduro. And Maduro implemented all these laws, right? That they were going to go after every single corporate. Well, they went after every single corporation that they're no longer corporations. Now they're just the government, dictating, controlling. And now look what's going on. We have some of the biggest population living out of South America is who? Venezuelans. You know what I mean? These are the people that are being driven by their own governments, right? So now it just leads you to think, is this what the plan? You know what I mean? Where we're accepting more of these places where they're mysteriously, some of you Latinos, right? That like to be as educated as we are, right? And believe me, I'm still like you. I'm old school. I like to learn. I like to read. I like to do a lot of research. But what a coincidence that a lot of people that are coming is places where it's been ravaged by either earthquakes, war, or government. You know what I mean? What is going on? What is in Ohio? The majority of people showing up, 50,000 people that showed up in Springfield, Ohio, more than 50,000. Where did they come from? Haiti. Haitians. They're Haitians coming from where? A place where it was ravaged by what? By the earthquake, right? The government can't control the situation. People need to leave. They eat. They need to leave. They take advantage. America's open for you. And here they come, right? Same thing. Venezuela, ravaging by governments, controlling, right? People can't eat. I mean, come on, go out to the streets in Venezuela. I mean, to buy food in Venezuela is like $1 million. Like, dude, like the money is so inflated. A million bolivares. Think about it, man. Is that what they want to make our America? Is that what they want here in America?
Yeah, and this is not a knock on the people
No, of course not.
coming,
No.
but it is a knock on the policies and everything they're doing, because we're trying to do that now, and I mean I don't mean we, I mean Kamala, who she's brain dead in my opinion, because put that video real quick. I mean, before you put it up, let me just say what this video is showing. Go ahead and play. It doesn't have any sound. What this video is showing, she's got a teleprompter. She's quote unquote engaging with the audience, right?
It's live questions.
And then they turn it off.
Live questions. Why she's got a teleprompter there? And then they notice, so they shut it down. I was like, what? So this woman's got no idea what she's doing. First of all, second, she's talking about price gouging. When you start thinking about what that really means, she's talking about price control. She wants to say how much things cost. She cannot do that. Nobody can do that, because what does that create? That creates black markets. Why? Because all right, so right after a hurricane happens or some disaster, what goes out of the Home Depots and Lowe's? Of the lumber, right? The lumber. But they have a policy. Those stores have a policy that if it's a natural disaster, they're not going to raise their prices. That is a mistake on their side, and hear me out. Here's why. Because people will go and buy the lumber by truckloads, right? And then they will park right outside Home Depot. And you guys seen it, so you tell me if I'm wrong. But they will park right outside Home Depot, right outside. And when people go into Home Depot and they can't find it, and they go outside, they see this guy. Guess who's price gouging? This guy in the truck selling on the lumber. Because you cannot control pricing. Prices are controlled by the invisible hand. That's what they call it in economy. It's driven by the market. It's driven by demand, supply and demand. It's just a simple economics term. You cannot control it. If people want it, they will pay for it. They're gonna get it. If people really want it and there's a lot of supply, because everybody's selling it, the price is gonna go down. But if the people really want it and the supply is low, prices are going to go up. Why? Because more people is willing to pay for it. So nobody can control this, because that if someone could control that, that means that they can tell you do not want it right now, don't buy it. And you're like, okay, so you don't buy it. That's what price control really will mean. But they don't do that. They just want to control the corporations, which is they can't do that. That's the end of it. If you don't understand that, just and I don't mean to be condescending or anything, but just it's simple economics. Just go and look that up, and it's very simple, and there's nothing to it. That's supply and demand. That's it.
But to your credit, bro, I don't think she understands it, and I think that's one of the things. That's one of the things that us as Latinos, we need to wake up and be like, hey, wait a minute. You want to control that? Unfortunately, you cannot. You cannot control that, like we just mentioned. Our people, I mean, we have the spirit, we have the fighting spirit, right? We're always out there trying to work hard, hustle. You heard this lady right here. She said, look, I work hard. I'm in the middle class, right? The middle class. Because right now, her talking point is, I'm going to restore the middle class, right? Wait a minute. Weren't you the one that opened up the gates of the border to allow to allow immigrants to attack the middle class by their workload, right? Remember? Cheap gouging. Now it's labor gouging, right? Somebody think about it. I'm a business owner, right? I have somebody that's in there with me for about 20-25 years, right? He's making a good decent amount of money, right? Now I have an opportunity, right? And I'm speaking to those people that have businesses that are like they're struggling to pay the bills, right? They're struggling. So what are they going to do? They're going to say either I go under, or I'm going to make some adjustments in my own corporation. What is the first thing that they do? they first start attacking what? The labor force. People like ourselves that have been there for 25, 35 years. Well, why am I going to pay somebody a little bit more when I can, pay someone a little bit less and, stay afloat? You know what I mean? Make it through the next season. That's exactly what's going on here with this. When you allowed immigrants, we're not against the immigrants. Believe me, we're not. We're just against the advantages and disadvantages that there are in an environment like we already are, right? That they're going to take full advantage of them. Why? Because a lot of our people, think about it, they come out of wherever places making, $7 or $8 or even less, right? These people make $50 a week, okay? So can you imagine coming to the United States making $300, $400 under the water without having to pay Uncle Sam money? They're gonna do it, right? That's $300 more than what they were making over at their wherever they're from. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about it because I got a lot of people that are doing that. I'm saying, man, it makes sense, bro. I'm not getting my government here is taking advantage of me. We're paying such amount of money. We don't have to pay the rent. But when they come here, the true reality is they come to the United States Quietos, right? And they're not even understanding that they gotta pay $2,600 to live in an apartment, right? $4,000 to live here in California. Here you have to be making above $160,000. Sorry, el corazón, mira. No, don't worry, it's getting there to your area. Don't worry. Nevada's coming, Alabama.
Slowly.
All right,
Oh man.
right. You need to make a certain amount of money to make it. Over here, underwater, you got to make at least $4,000 to $5,000 to live in California. Think about it. That's just paying for your rent and all your bills. So that's a big investment, and a lot of our people are struggling. That's why a lot of them end up in the street in hotels. Free hotels for everybody. You get a hotel because guess what? They're dependent on government now.
Hey, Alfred. So I heard of this guy who came from California. Man, I wish I remember his name. But anyway, so he came from California. He had a house in California. I don't know how much a house costs, but he owned it for like 5 years, right?
Right.
And then he sold it. He sold the house in California, and it was a loan. So with the money left over he got, right, the equity he got on the house, he came over here to Alabama,
Cash,
purchased a house cash, and still have money left over.
bro.
Yeah.
Bro, that's the way to do it. Think about it. You sell it, you go to a places where they're not like Alabama. Come on, think about it. I mean, I'm thinking about it too. Look, you're paying a square feet, 1,200 square feet right here. You're paying approximately what? 300 over here now. You're paying $800,000, $850,000.
Man,
But think about it. We don't have the weather. You guys don't have the weather we have, man. Sunny every day. You know what I mean? Like there's sun everywhere. It's a perfect weather. 76, 83. If we get about 89 degrees, people are dying over here. It's it's a heat wave,
right?
right?
That's part of that negotiation. What are you willing to pay for the trade-offs that you're getting? Because that's there's a reason why prices are so high for beachfront property. Everybody wants that. Everyone wants that access. That comes with the price. The same with the high-rise loft in Miami, right? That comes with a price. And that's part of why capitalism is so critical. Imagine if the government was trying to say, you know what? Everyone has a right to have beachfront property. Well, I'm sorry, but that you're living in fantasy land if you think that that's possible, if you can migrate the entire country to only the coast to provide everyone beachfront property. It doesn't work that way. And to go back to Quemada over here, right, who doesn't understand basic economics, going back to the importance of price controls and or the impact that price controls have. First, if you listen to what she's saying, if she's saying, well, we need to protect price gouging, well, there is a certain time where there are companies that do price gouging, right? In an emergency situation, right? That could happen. Just like other people will break other laws, exact same thing, right? Tax fraud, whatever it is. And if you listen to her, the only thing that she discusses when it comes to price gouging is food and produce in grocery stores. If you look at the actual data, they are the lowest in that data, the lowest on that table. I think their profit margins are maybe 1%. If they're at 2%, that's phenomenal for them. But if you're making 1% profit, imagine the pennies that you're making, and she's telling you that you have she's telling you that you're price gouging, that you're greedy with your 1%, versus what Trump is talking about with real price gouging with credit card companies that are charging you 27, 28, 30% interest. That's price gouging. But the people don't understand it, and she doesn't want to bring that up. And to go back to the importance of prices, if you start controlling prices, there's two sides of the spectrum, right? You're going to either drive prices up through a black market for people to get those goods, or you're going to cause a shortage. And those are your options. Because if you look at history, which is also why they don't want you to learn your history, whether it's world history or American history, if you look at other countries that have put into place price control policies, let's say for just housing rent control, those policies cause more homelessness than the good that they were trying to do. And the same thing happened in New York, right? Everybody wants to live in New York. They want to live on the island of Manhattan. They started putting into place rent control policies, and then they ended up just driving up homelessness. Because the issue is, it's not just you control the price of this and the market still works as a free market. It doesn't work that way. When you have price controls, because there's certain things that price controls don't affect, right? If you're looking at services, if you're looking at a haircut, you can't hoard getting your haircut, right? Because you can only get a haircut every once in a while. But if you have a 5,000 square foot apartment by Fifth Avenue for $2,000, you're not going to let that puppy go. You're going to keep it, whether you're living there or not. So now you're taking off property that could go to someone else that actually needs it. Now you're hoarding. So that's the problem with price controls. And the same thing with, the same thing could apply to gasoline. The same thing could apply to foods that don't perish. So now people are going to be hoarding products and possibly services, right? Because that could also happen with medical care, right? If you have universal medical care, which is what they're proposing also, that means everyone is getting the exact same care for the same price because everyone is pitching in, right? Here's the issue with that. Now you have people that require more medical care than you do, right? If you take the time and effort to eat well, to work out, you're paying the same price as someone else who doesn't do that, who might have 7 different comorbidities, and you're paying the same price. Where is the incentive for you? But now on top of that, if everyone has access to medical care because of price controls, what happens to the system? Now everyone is going in to get this medical treatment when they would normally stay home. Let's say if you catch a cold, you might normally stay home and say, oh, I'll just go get something over the counter from my local pharmacy. If everyone has access to this medical care, everyone is going to be flooding the system. Oh, well, I got a little cough. I'm going to go see the doctor. So now what happens? Like, you look at the dynamic of all of this, and it's a domino effect. You have to look at the dynamic of the whole. It's not just one aspect of we're just going to control prices and everything is a utopian dream. Because what happens if you look at Canada and their universal medical system, right? What happens? People are waiting hours, days, months, weeks, years sometimes for medical treatment that they need. People with cancer are not getting treatment that they need because there's a flood of new patients coming in because of price controls. So it's not even just price gouging for products like produce. Like, that's the least of your concerns. But then if you actually look at that, if that's what they actually want to implement, price controls on food products, what is that going to do to the chain of supply? Because if you're now controlling it, we're either going to get shrinkflation because they have to have a certain amount of money to produce this product, right? So you're going to have to lower the quantity to be able to sell it and ship it because gas is obviously still expensive. So now you're getting shrinkflation, you're getting let's say you're buying strawberries, you're going to get half the amount of strawberries in your box for the same price because there's a price control. Or one of the other examples, let's say, for example, if there's, for whatever reason, more people want milk. Let's say if their mothers need milk, whatever. So now you have milk. So more people need to produce milk. So that means farmers have to produce milk, right? So that means, are you taking away profits from producing cheese? Are you taking away profits from yogurt, from ice cream, right? To drive that traffic or to drive that money to produce more milk. But now if you need more milk and you're not able to buy more cows, so what happens? Well, now you can't slaughter as many cows because you have to produce more milk. So now what happens to the meat supply? Now we're getting a shortage in the meat supply because we have to produce more milk. So everything in the economy is a trade-off, and they don't understand this is the absolute critical reason why you cannot control prices. You have to have a free market because it continuously balances out. Whatever the supply is, that demand will be satisfied, but you cannot control the supply and the demand and the price. It has to fluctuate, and you have to allow it to fluctuate. Otherwise, you don't have a functioning economy. It's the absolute basics of economies or economics, but they don't want to discuss that. You know, Kamala Harris is constantly on her social media. We have this many economists siding with us. We have this many economists doing this. Why aren't they speaking up about it? Why don't you have the top actual economists speaking on this? Why don't you have them on CNN, on your panels discussing this? Why don't you have Thomas Sowell speaking on any of this? Oh, because he would just be completely dismantling every single policy that you have. That's why you don't want them on there. And it's
that's why.
Show that picture. Show that picture that I got on there.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The economy is great under Joe Biden, July 2024. Kamala is going to fix the well. What went wrong?
¿Cuál es?
What went wrong? What went wrong? I mean, the economy was great.
Yeah.
It's been great. No issues here. You know, I mean, to credit to what Frank is saying, that's actually, I mean, it's dead on. Think about it, guys. Every time that we have the government trying to control something, it always goes wrong. I have people. Let me give a huge shout outs to people on Instagram. Hey, the _rocks. Oh my God, counts as another issue. Our food and toxic. Adios. Yep, that's true. We got Glassy Surf 77. Hey, some folks on Instagram, let us know where you're listening from. We want to give you a shout outs. We're seeing people logging in from X. Go ahead and shoot us from where you're listening from, and we're going to shoot you guys a quick message. All right. So yes, to the credit, think about what did the government do with, you know, controlling the most important vaccine or the gene therapy. You know, what did they do? And I don't want to get us in trouble because last time we mentioned something about this and our thing got taken down because we didn't say anything wrong. We just said every time there is control.
The truth.
It's called the First Amendment.
That's truth, right? Yay, right? There you go. So, I mean, so that's exactly, I mean, we cannot allow the government to control anything because you guys know we allow them to control our economy. Look at what's going on. You allow them to control a situation like Ukraine. Look at what's going on. Bloated to the yin yang, right? We allow them to control Afghanistan for 20 years. Look, we're back to when we took Afghanistan back in the 1990s. Think about it. We allow the government to take control of anything. They just take advantage of, you know, of us taxpayers, us citizens, that we have to pay this. And listen, we allow the government to take on the border control, right, with Kamala Harris. And what happened? Look at what's going on now. Now we have a lot of people, and not this. I'm not bumping on our immigrant friends, brothers and sisters, but come on, guys, we should have done this the right way, like many of us does. We have a lot of Hispanic or a lot of people that have been waiting in line to get, you know, to get their documents. Now they can't. They have to wait another 10 years. They have to continue. This is money gouging, right? How come we don't talk about the, you know, INS taking advantage of our people every single, you know, 4 years? They have to pay $700 to renew their cards. Come on, isn't that price gouging? Taking advantage of our own people, paying the taxes, and we taking their money for their green cards to be here. Come on now.
Which
Yeah.
something else that you're bringing up now too. We now have over, because what has entered since this administration is 11 million more illegals, right? But how many illegals are living here? And again, not knocking on immigration, but if you're here illegally, you've already broken the law, for one. But now let's say we have 30 million more individuals living here. What does that do to the supply chain? What does that do to the housing market? What does that do to the food on the shelf? What does that do to the job supply? Right? But exactly how you were saying, if there are people here that are willing to undercut and get paid under the table, now you're stealing jobs from Americans. You're stealing homes that veterans on the street need. You're stealing from every single American citizen because you're flooding the system. And
Like
our
Columbus did. Like Columbus did.
handle it. Like Columbus did. Yeah.
No, I mean, think about
They
it. They
love
want to remove.
immigration, except if you're from Europe.
Can you guys imagine now? They want to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Day now.
Oh, they're
Man,
Can you guys
desperately
don't get me started on that. Hey, I think
please.
Frankie had a good segue to the next video though. Play out the next video. She was
Here we
talking about
go.
the housing.
reason
Ahí va.
that there is a housing crisis is that not enough houses have been built.
And that we have 25 million people who shouldn't be here.
Well, I mean, this is the thing.
I think it's both.
I know you do. I don't think that many people who look into this agree with you, but about a third of the construction workforce in this country is Hispanic. Of those, a large portion are undocumented. So how do you propose to build all the housing necessary that we need in this country by removing all the people who are working in construction?
Well, I think it's a fair question because we know that back in the 1960s when we had very low levels of illegal immigration, Americans didn't buy houses, didn't build houses. But of course they did. And I'm being sarcastic, of course, in service of a point, Lulu, the assumption that because a large number of home builders now are using undocumented labor, that's the only way to build homes. I think, again,
The country is much bigger.
a fundamental.
The need is much bigger. I mean, I'm not arguing in favor of illegal immigration. I'm asking how you would deal with the knock-on effect of your proposal to remove millions of people who work in a critical part of the economy.
Well, I think that what you would do is you would take, let's say, for example, the 7 million prime age men who have dropped out of the labor force, and you have a smaller number of women, but still millions of women prime age who have dropped out of the labor force. You absolutely could re-engage folks into the American labor market. This is, I think,
To work in construction?
Of course you could.
I
So
mean,
long as you
the
so
unemployment
long
rate
as
is
you-
4.1%.
but
Most
the
people who
unemployment rate, Lulu, this is important. The
But most people who
unemployment-
don't work can't work in the regular economy. They're in the military, they're parents, they're sick, they're old. They might not want to work in construction.
The unemployment rate does not count labor force participation dropouts. And again, this is one of the really deranged things that I think illegal immigration does to our society is it gets us in a mindset of saying we can only build houses with illegal immigrants when we have 7 million, just men, not even women, just men who have completely dropped out of the labor force. People say, well, Americans won't do those jobs. Americans won't do those jobs for below the table wages. They won't do those jobs for non-living wages. But people will do those jobs. They will just do those jobs at certain wages. And think about this from the perspective of an American company, okay? I want them to go searching in their own country for their own citizens. Sometimes people who may be struggling with addiction or trauma, get them re-engaged in American society. We cannot have an entire American business community that is giving up on American workers and then importing millions of illegal laborers. That is what we have thanks to Kamala Harris's border policies. I think it's one of the biggest drivers of inequality. It's one of the biggest reasons why we have millions of people who have dropped out of the labor force. Why try to re-engage an American citizen in a good job if you can just import somebody from Central America who's going to work under the table for poverty wages? It is a disgrace, and it has led to the evisceration of the American middle class.
All right, so what I want to say right off the bat is that he did an amazing job, 1st of all, but second, between the lines, and not so between the lines, it's pretty clear. This lady Lulu, she's pretty racist.
Super.
100%.
To say that only like do you
Only
see her
Latinos
face?
work in
Do you
construction.
see her
Come on
face?
now.
Like we can re-engage Americans, and she's like, for construction? I was like,
Yeah.
what?
My question, she said, maybe they don't want construction jobs. First off, what happened to the equality with women? I want equality and I want this and I want this. Why don't you go build a house? Oh, that's a man's job now. Now it's a man's job. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Continue.
no,
Or even,
that
or
that
even
was very racist.
not only that, but Vance hit it right in the money. He said, number one is you got to focus on those 7 million. Remember, there's 7 million people that used to do that type of work. What happened to them? She did
Mhm.
not understand. See,
Mhm.
her focus is more like, like, what are you going to do with the immigrants?
Mhm.
Are you guys going to get rid of them? How are you going to? These are the people that are coming in here and taking on these jobs, right? And doing construction. Dude, that's racist. You know what I
Very,
mean? Like, to me,
very racist.
I'm telling you, my people do not just work in construction. My people work in restaurants, car
Mhm.
washes, right? We
Mhm.
work. But for her to just insinuate that this is all Latinos do, we work in construction, bro. That's racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But they don't see it that way. They see it more like they're going to do the work that the American people do not want to see. Their mindset, their
Mhm.
mindset is they will do the job that others people do not want to do. And for believe me, the reason why they do not want to do the job is because the corporations are knocking down these people that are making optimal money doing that type of job.
Mhm.
Remember, corporate greed. You bring down these people, you cut them off the face, you alienate them. They're great working people. They're making too much. Now I'm going to go for that immigrant that does not understand how it works down here. They're going to take full advantage of them, right? And
Exactly.
that's where you're seeing a lot of the corporations, taking advantage of our people, especially in construction. And you're seeing all our people suing all these corporations and construction companies because guess what? They
Mhm.
felt that they've gone taken advantage of, and it's happening everywhere.
yeah,
Which is really wild, really quick. The fact that we just segmented to this, because this also has to do with price control, because this is
mhm,
a labor force, right?
Mhm.
If you look at all of the consequences of price control, one of those consequences is actually quality deterioration. That's exactly what this is. If you are allowing an entire labor force to be imported to work below the standard, what does that do? One, sure, like a company. First off, if any company hires an illegal, you're actually breaking the law because you're not paying taxes on that employee. So
Mhm.
if this vast amount of corporations are actually hiring undocumented, they're all actually breaking the law. Every single one of them, first off.
mhm,
So let's start there. But going back, if you have a labor force or anything at all, let's switch it from a construction worker to a doctor. Let's say if we were importing illegals to be doctors in America, but they were being underpaid from what the standard is in America, what do you think the quality of service is going to be? It's not going to be the same. And so, of course, American doctors are not going to be willing to get paid that lower standard because they went through that education. They went through the schooling. They went through the process. Went through the blood, sweat, and the tears to earn that degree to become a doctor. And to just say, well, no one is willing to do construction, that is very difficult work. Very difficult work. Carpentry, all of these like hard labor jobs. This is what our society is built on. Again, why we need men. I never want to hear a single woman saying we don't need men. Okay, well, go live in a tent in the middle of the forest because you're not going to have a house to live in. You're not going to have a pretty Target to walk into because it's not going to be built. So going back, it it makes zero sense for you to actually try to justify bringing in an illegal labor force that's going to undercut every single American citizen. That's not how it works. So not only are you costing Americans jobs, but now you're just hastening the process of deteriorating the quality of every single service, job, product, whatever it is, all the way down the line by doing this. It's all that you're doing.
and you were talking about the quality of the work, and interesting you say that because I was having a conversation with my wife just a few weeks back about that, and I was telling her that I started to notice, like, because we live here, we don't really notice big changes over time, because they're just, it takes time to settle. So right, so changes happen over time, and you don't really notice them. But if you take a step back and look at the 2000s, and then start thinking about the 90s, I got to the States in the late 90s. If you step back and look at that, United States is a first world country, but I can tell you that we don't have those standards anymore. Like the quality of the services that we get nowadays, the quality of the products that we're getting, like the customer service that we're getting from companies, is not like it used to be. And I dare to say that even some places like third world countries, like Mexico, for instance, have some better airports than we do. Like you arrive at the airports there, and you're like, wow, this is better than the one I just came in from. It's like,
Mhm.
how is this even possible? And the quality, so the quality has degraded over time. And that, that goes with what you were saying, Frankie, because you have all this cheaper labor, and yeah, you're getting the job done, but what are you paying for that? Yeah, what is the cost of that? And the cost is, a lot of times, is quality, a lot of times is other things, but quality, it is a cost that we're paying for right now. And I challenge you, just think back about, think back of the services you used to get from customer services. You go to a restaurant nowadays, and
Mhm.
depending on where you go, but services are not like they used to be. Like, I don't, man, this is not first world country level anymore, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Bro, I'm laughing, bro, because I went to go get a boba, bro, and the first thing they say after I put the order. So this is what I do, right? You go to the kiosk, right? How many of you go to the kiosk, right? You go to the kiosk, right, and you put your order in there, right, and then all of a sudden they call your name, Mister So and So, your boba's ready, and all of a sudden, when you put in the kiosk, what is the first thing after you're done? What after you're done with the purchase? Do you want to leave a tip? And now they got 10% and above. Especially
Mhm.
in California, you got 15. You can't
10.
go below 15%. Nope, you can't. It's already 15, 20. I mean, 15, 18, and 22. Can you imagine? I'm gonna go buy a boba
Yeah.
now, and now they just want to charge me for the fee for the kiosk, and I'm gonna pay the kiosk that tip of 15%, knowing that I'm living in California, paying such a large amount of tax. I'm looking at them like, better not ask me for a freaking tip, because at the end of the day, bro,
Oh
I can't afford
man.
it, bro. I cannot afford it. Sorry, can't afford it. Can't afford the
Hey,
tip, buddy.
going back to what you're saying about the price per square footage, I looked it up while you guys, after you mentioned it, Alfred.
Yeah.
I went and looked it up. Do you have any idea how much the dollar amount for square foot of houses around here?
Uh,
Just
I'm,
just
I'm,
throw a guess.
I'm gonna throw a guess. Let me see. Let's say $160.
You're close, but you're high.
Oh, what the?
Wow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
you can get a really nice house. I mean, like a nice
Bro,
house
believe me,
for
I'm tempted, bro.
$130 per square foot.
Be careful. You're about to have Alabama bum rushed.
I know, bro. I'm telling you, Alabama. Anybody in California that wants to move to,
Let's go.
I mean, come on, I mean, bro, think about it, man. With that amount of square foot, with that amount per square footage, that means that you can easily get an acre out in Alabama with the price
Oh
that you're
yeah.
paying in California, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, when you come here, I was before moving to Alabama. I moved here from Washington State, by the way. And in Washington State, square footage is not as bad as California, but pretty close to California.
I bet.
Uh,
Yeah, blue
and
states.
so when I moved here, I was like, housing is what? I was like, what? Give it to you there. I was like, want to go?
Exactly, man. That's why everybody's bum rushing. Nevada. They're bum rushing Arizona. They're bum rushing Texas. They're bum rushing Utah. Idaho. Idaho is getting hammered right now with a lot of people.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about these are the second people. These are all some people might think no, these are all the liberals that are leaving. No, no, these are all conservative people moving. They just can't afford it anymore.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, some of our people are leaving. They can't afford it. They've been here for 30, 40 years. It's time to go. They just can't afford California anymore. I'm seeing them.
Mhm.
Seen them.
Yeah, and we were talking about blue collar jobs a little bit ago, and
Yes.
I found an interesting article just a few days ago. But this is something I actually read about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. That blue collar business owners
100%.
are becoming the next millionaires. So when this one popped up from Wall Street Journal, and like plumbers and HVAC, and if you start that and you get a business going, you can start making millions of that. That is true, and then you start asking yourself why, and we kind of have been talking about that so far because one, you can't find a quality work out there anymore. You can't find the people, and the reason is because they're not they want a couch job, they want this other jobs, they're not getting trained or whatever. They and they buy into this media that says you gotta get paid 20 $25 an hour just for flipping burgers. It's
Mhm.
like, all right, well, if I get $25 an hour flipping burgers, I mean, heck yeah, man, I can do that job. But then you go and get a job with this guy, doing HVAC work, plumbing work, and he's paying you 25 bucks an hour. You're like, or even if he pays you 27, $28 an hour, you're like, well, that's hard work. I'm not gonna do that. Because I can do it a lot easier over here. I get paid a little bit less, maybe the same, but I don't have to do that hard work. Well, guess what? Now the people who's willing to do this hard work, uh, they're not just making that $25 an hour. They're making businesses out of that and training other people, and then they become their own business owners,
Mhm,
and they're becoming millionaires. They're making a lot
mhm,
of money. Why? Because that job is needed,
Mhm.
and when the economy is bad, like it is now, something breaks, you don't want to replace it. You want to expand the life as much as you can. So you're gonna repair more. You're gonna try to salvage more. And in a way, I feel like of course I didn't live on the Great Depression, but I feel like we're there. Like we're trying. Like I was looking at this, bottle of glass bottle of this. I forgot what it was, but it was a glass bottle. Oh, it's a ketchup. It's a ketchup glass bottle. I went to this restaurant. We went hiking with the family on the weekend, and we went to this restaurant and they have barbecue. And they have this ketchup on their glass bottle. So I was like,
yeah,
doing this thing, trying to get the ketchup on. And then I remember I was like, oh yeah, the key is not to hit it like that. Is to go like this. You just shake it off a little
yeah,
bit. And
yeah.
that's what I did. The ketchup came up, and I was thinking, man, like if we like you want to be green and recycle, go back to glass.
Mhm.
Just go back to glass. The glass, like, all right. So many, I'm guessing none of you knows what I do, but what I do, I manage projects. I manage projects for big industries, and food industry is one of those companies that manage projects for. And one of the jobs I did, this has been more than 10 years ago now. I fixed one of those uh, washing machines for bottles, for glass bottles, and this was back in Mexico. Though I went to live there for like 3.5 years, and this was for Coca Cola. Actually, I guess I can say that since I don't work for them anymore. But I was working for Coca Cola, and they had a washing machine that cleans all those bottles so they can refill it because in Mexico, they still do that.
Mhm,
Um, so I mean, that's the ultimate recycle. That's green. The water they use to clean all those bottles is reused and it's clean. I mean, it's not like dirty or anything. It's very clean, and the cycles they optimize the water, and it's very clean. So you wanna recycle, you wanna have green economy or green, type of government where you're just trying to optimize the resources.
mhm.
Go back to that. That's one idea.
Right. 100%. And
Mhm.
I mean, think about it. Electricians, HVAC, and plumbers are the ones that are making a lot of money right now. And and the reason why I say this is because I have friends and family that are working HVAC, they're working as plumbing, right? And they're like, bro, it's nonstop. I have 12-hour days. You know what I mean? So granted, a lot, and believe me, there's a lot of our people working in those kind of type of work. So it's good that they're taking on this because I have personal friends that have started that want to start their own business now that are doing HVAC, and it's a fact. He says, "Bro, I'm ready. I'm already making such amount of money, and I'm ready to start my own business." I said, "Go for it. this is the time right now, because right now HVAC, especially in California, it gets hot. Everybody wants an HVAC guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And for cheap too. So can you imagine? He's not going cheap labor. He's there. I'm going to charge him what it is because I do not want to affect the market, because when you have a lot of people that's exactly what Frankie was mentioning, right? You have everybody that wants to do it for cheap. You affect everybody around you. You know what I mean? You affect people, the business people that are doing HVAC that are making a nice living. Now they're having a hard time because you have people coming in and they'll do it almost for free, and it's hard. It's hard to compete like that.
Hey,
Oh,
Alfred,
you are. There is a trade-off with the quality though, again, because
Correct. Exactly.
you can hire someone for cheaper labor, but again, at what cost? It's not
Yep.
going to be at the highest quality.
How
It's
many
not-
times you have to call that service man?
Exactly. Now you're paying more because you're having to call someone out for the second time to do it.
I got a prime example of that. So remember we're talking about this?
Yes.
All right. What did we say? We said this stuff, for those guys watching, this is just a microphone amplifier. It's for this stuff, so you can. It's technical stuff that you probably don't care, but
for
Alfred and I were talking about this thing, right? And we were talking about how expensive it is.
Yep.
But this is quality. This is really good quality.
Exactly.
And now that I have it on hand, I mean, it's out of metal, and you can look at it, and it's top quality. And I didn't know this before I bought it, but when I got the box, check this out.
Made in USA.
Hey.
Look at that.
Here you go.
Look at that.
Exactly, bro. You're in our places, man. You go to Mexico. Mexico is always looking for stuff made in the US. If you go to Central America, everybody wants made in the US. The reason why is because, guys, America is so unique here. Everybody that's from America. I mean, think about it. This is my home. So I know for a fact that America is such a beautiful place. I mean, not only the imagination, people just do the Disney, the uniqueness. Come on, we can't allow these politicians and these culture nonsense take over our current communities and what we live. We experience this. They're not going to come into our communities. Let's keep everything alive, knowing that we're in the greatest nation of all time. This is it right here, the United States of America. So yeah, to that. You're not going to find a lot of those pieces. Nowadays you're going to try to see the substitute, made in China. And unfortunately, I've done that. I bought things that are made in China. I have to buy 3 times and I'm done. I said, forget it.
But sometimes it's even difficult. Sometimes you're looking for American made, and it's very difficult to find just because of the trajectory that we've been on. And I've said this. I know I've said this plenty of times before, but I feel like so many things shouldn't even be government issues. They shouldn't be policies that we're concerned about, because everything going on, if we had proper values set in again, we wouldn't be forced to have to deal with all of these terrible policies, right? If everyone was instilled with those American made values, we wouldn't have to worry about everything being made in China and everything having to be imported and concerning ourselves with all of these other things that are involved in that, right? But look at how many businesses too, because I've seen it myself with having my own business. I had to figure this out, and it was very difficult to source everything from America. And when I was able to, it was astronomically at a higher price. But I understood, if I wanted to be able to say, no, this is American made, everything was sourced from America, because I wanted to provide jobs in America, I had to pay that higher cost. But I had to share that in the marketing and say, hey, this is why the price is higher, but you're also getting much higher quality. And that meant so much to me, because I still know to this day, a lot of people that do have smaller businesses, and they constantly tell me, hey, it's really hard to get people to buy, to shop locally, to buy from the store, because they don't have the big bucks like the corporate, conglomerates do with their marketing and their branding, whatever. So, it's really hard for me to get my customers to buy from me. And my first question is, well, where do you source everything that you need to manufacture what you're selling? Is it American made? Because if it's American made, it's a lot easier to sell. every single time they tell me, well, no, I have to source from China or from India or from Vietnam. So you're telling me you're sourcing what you need for your products and having to import it, but you're expecting people to buy from you. So how there's a disconnect there. You're not purchasing what you need to manufacture from America to sell to America. You're buying from China to sell to America, and then you're upset that America is willing to buy from China and not from you.
And, and there's a mixed bag with that. So some things, yes, we should just suck it up and pay the high pricing for whatever it is you're getting. And the way I see things is like, okay, like this thing, right? So am I gonna buy? Oh, I'm sorry, I got confused there. I thought you muted me. I was like, I saw, so you muted me. I was like, what are you muting me? So anyway, so this thing, right? So you can get this one from a different brand. It might be cheaper, and like Alfred was saying, you might have to buy it again in 2 or 3 years because it breaks. This one might last me 10 years easy, right? So I'm paying, $150 or for this thing, and it lasts me 10 years. And if you count it by years, you're paying $15 per year. If you buy the knockoff one and it costs you, $80, $90 or whatever, but it only lasts you 2 years, then you're paying $40 per year on this thing, because if you need it, you're gonna have to buy it again. So you're really paying the high price. But here's when I say a mixed bag, here's the other thing, and the video, we're gonna need to play that one with audio. Don't play it yet. There's some things that are playing against us, and I didn't know this until recently. So when I found this video, I was like, we gotta play this video. Tariffs, and President Trump is talking about tariffs, and those are key because the world is benefiting from us, and we are not benefiting from them. So let's play this video. Oh,
can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down. And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound, Andrew?
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.
It absolutely makes sense. If you do it strategically, if it's across the board, it creates a real problem. And the question is whether you believe the president is going to do it strategically or across the board. He keeps saying it across the board.
Well, when you're running for office, you make broad statements so people understand you. Right. Okay? Tariffs are an amazing tool by the president to use. They're an amazing tool, but he understands, don't tariff stuff we don't make. Right? If we don't make it, and you want to buy it, I don't want to put the price up there. It's pointless. But use tariffs to build in America. If we want to make it in America, tariff it. Or if we're competing with it, tariff it. But you got to remember, we need to protect the American worker. Finally, someone's going to protect the American worker. And Donald Trump is here to protect the American worker.
Do you think we make a lot of money in tariffs? Or if they're used as negotiating tactics, look, tariffs will come down there. We're not going to have super high tariffs here either. There's not going to be a big pot of money at the end of the day.
I love that story. So which is it? Do we make a lot of money on tariffs, or we bring productivity here and we drive up our workers here? So it's a win-win scenario. I like both of them. I think what's going to happen is we'll make a bunch of money on the tariffs, but mostly everybody else is going to negotiate with us, and we will be more fair. In 1948, right, we came up with something called the Marshall Plan, right? The world, Germany and Japan were destroyed after World War II, and we wanted to export our economy to them. So we made a rule. They could tariff us, and we won't tariff them. So they can rebuild.
This is the best explanation I've heard of.
So they can rebuild their economy. We rebuilt their economy using something called the Marshall Plan. Yeah. Our economy is so awesome that we'll use it to help you rebuild. When should that have ended? What do you think, 1980? Right? 1985? I mean, why 40 years are Japan and Germany and all of Europe still tariffing the heck out of our auto industry, tariffing the heck out of our furniture industry? Do you realize all your furniture you're buying that's made foreign, It seems crazy. Why? It's because they tariff us and we don't tariff them. It's so obvious.
Yeah, so there's the other side that I was talking about. There's things that are playing against us, and it's just not in our control. It's you can have the best quality, but you're not going to be able to compete if you can't export these things out. And then if other people can make it cheaper, and we don't have a tariff, there's fair. And of course, we're going to have to buy it from all these other places. And what is that going to do? The domino effect that Frankie was explaining earlier. That's only going to drive a domino effect where workers are just going to have to quit that job because they don't get paid because they can't sell anything. So they're going to have to go and do something else. So when I catch that video, I was like, man, we got to share. We got to talk about this one.
100%. And see, that's one of the reasons why a lot of the people, Frank or Oscar and Frankie, some of our people that are coming from other places, they come with the doctrine already. They're doctors. They're think about it. There's teachers. There's people out there, and look, they're over here working at McDonald's. Like what? Like like they're over here. They're not even doing. There's teachers out here that are working cleaning houses. You know what I mean? Like it just does not make any sense. But listen, this is what they've done in their own country. You know what I mean? Their own governments have garnered. I mean, they have deployed. I mean, they just taken advantage of the population, that the people that move are because they're in desperate need. It's either they move, they die. I mean, or they die at their home country, right? It's sad to say that, but unfortunately, that drives a lot of people. And now you have people like Kamala Harris saying, "Do not come, do not come." Like do not, like pretty much telling them like, come. Like I'm not gonna do anything. Guess what? The SARS not gonna do anything, right? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris now they have a it's really tough to cover this administration and some of the things, the blunders that they've done, and it's unfortunate because it's sad, but at the same time, a lot of people are benefiting from the American economy now, and I think it's time that hey, we make common sense decisions by voting on somebody that's really going to help our economy, that's done it before, right? Not somebody that's already in there for 3.5 years and haven't done crap, haven't done nothing, right? And somebody that's actually been there, done it, and he knows how to use, how to leverage, how to negotiate. Come on, the art of deal. Come on, he came out on a show. You know what I mean? Like, you're fired. You know what I mean? Like, he understands is a businessman. You know what I mean? We need a businessman right now to control things that are out of control in our own economy with our own Congress, and he needs to lever. And we need to come on. You think Kamala Harris is going to be able to tackle down, Congress with all these things that are going on, CRs after CRs and CRs after CRs? No, she's going to go with it. She's going to go on vacation for 2 to 3 months, right? We're not going to see her.
And this was honestly probably one of the main reasons why I voted for him in 2016. And that was when I was really getting my business going. So I was just really starting to understand all of this. And I didn't even have a single idea or concept of what foreign trade meant, right? And tariffs and importing goods. And the fact that this man is a billionaire because he has businesses around the world, who is better qualified to negotiate on these types of business deals, on imports and tariffs and how to get the most efficient process for importing, and how to get the best deals when importing, right? But how to also protect the workers in your homeland. Because if you look at, I mean, this is probably one of the most frustrating things about Congress. They can all walk around and boast that they have law degrees and they've done this and they're attorney general or whatever. If you don't know how to run a business, how can you tell me what regulations are going to be placed on my business?
Yep.
Because you don't understand how a business works. You don't understand what it means to manage a team, what it means to manage employees, what it means to have inventory, what it means to have to import goods, or if you're sourcing from America, right? How to balance your accounting to make sure that you still have a surplus at the end of the month and you're not going negative. If you have never had the opportunity to experience running a business, you should not be allowed to run a country, in my opinion. In my opinion. And I understand that there is a place and time for lawyers, because obviously there has to be some form of understanding the law and the rights, to put policies in place. But I think it needs to be a better, what's the word? I guess just a better ratio of business owners to lawyers who are actually creating these policies. Because imagine these lawyers, these politicians that claim they know how to make everything better, but they're telling farmers how to do their job. Imagine someone who flips burgers at McDonald's telling a brain surgeon how to do his job.
Right.
It's
Right.
the exact same concept. It's the exact same concept. But you're going to tell me Kamala Harris, who came out of California, who also
Hey, now
didn't
what's wrong with
get
California?
any delegates. California is amazing, but they've destroyed it. Newsome destroyed it. Kamala
Yeah,
destroyed
that's
it.
a fact.
Right? Because California is beautiful. I used to live in California and I loved it, and was willing to pay the higher prices because I knew what I was getting living in California. But again, right? What happened because of the policies? All the prices started skyrocketing, crime started skyrocketing, homelessness was skyrocketing. I didn't feel safe there anymore. But I couldn't run my business there because I had to keep buying things and purchasing things from other states. I couldn't get it because it was too much. It was too much to import to the state of California, not even the United States, just the state of California. So
Yeah.
now you have Kamala Harris, who's boasting about being this attorney general who, alongside Newsome, basically destroyed the state. You're going to tell me, right? Again, she received 0 delegates from the state of California when they nominated her. Your home state, not a single delegate from your home state. And you want to bring those policies to the entire United States when you couldn't even get the economy situated in California. But you're going to tell me that you're more trustworthy than the man who actually has made billions with businesses around the world, who understands how this works, who understands how to trade, how to set correct policy, how to actually make money from other countries, and how to negotiate with these leaders because he understands their customs, their cultures, the process of how they do business. But Kamala Harris is more trustworthy because she is a woman. It makes 0 sense. 0 sense.
I mean, to this whole sense, man, we're starting to see the downfall of Kamala Harris. I mean, right now, you had to bring Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, into the mix because they're losing the black community. Think about it. They cannot handle. I mean, Kamala Harris, 41% of this is Obama 81, Kamala 41. That's more than half. The community, the black community, do not trust her. They're seeing through her lies, and now they had to bring. Now they're pandering, or they're catering to the men. Now they figure out, not only do we lose the black men, now we're losing the men as well. Because now remember, this is the party that does not know what's the difference between a gender. So now they're scavenging. They're scavenging and they're going after the men now. Now they know they have men, right? But to the credit is due, man. This machine is ramping up on commercials every single hour. You know what I mean? Just to pump up the propaganda on how important it is for the black community to vote for Kamala. Now you're seeing the snips of Obama lecturing the black people, the black men specifically, that they must vote for Kamala Harris. They must, because it's a do or die situation for them. But I think right now Obama is hitting himself in the back and saying, what else can we do? We've already done everything we could. We tried to, do all these things, right? Lawfare after lawfare for Donald Trump. And this guy's still bringing in 100K to his rallies. I mean, come on. He's taking advantage of every single opportunity. Did you guys see the finances? How much money the Democrat Party is spending on marketing? Donald Trump is living in the dream because he knows how to take a businessman. He knows how to take advantage. He's probably not having depleted any kind of money. He's going to going to Bloomberg, right? Right now we saw him talking smack on that one guy, right? Like, you were wrong. You know, I'm like, dude, the guy's a genius. You know, he's taking advantage of this. This is what we need. We need somebody who knows how to use the art of work and knows how to do the business and knows how to handle business here in the U.S.
You know the strategy for Donald Trump on his marketing. I love it because all he needs to do is grab whatever Kamala's saying and put
I
out
approve this message.
yeah, I approve this message, and that's all he's doing. And I'm
That's
like,
perfect.
that's
Genius,
perfect.
man.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's doing that not only with her, but he's doing that with Bill Clinton. You know, he
But
was
Bill Clinton, yes.
yeah, he did that with Bill Clinton too.
That's
Man, but that,
hilarious.
that that was amazing. But guys, it's late for me. I really
Gotta
need to
go.
get off. But I don't want to get off without asking Frankie about your recent event. Tell us about
Yeah,
that.
Frankie. Yeah,
No,
the open table.
this was honestly one of the most absolute incredible events that I've ever been to, and it was. I felt. I mean, talk about privilege. You want to talk about privilege? I feel very privileged being able to join. This was here in Las Vegas. This last Saturday, you'll see some new videos coming out tomorrow, most likely, and it was President Trump coming in for a roundtable. It was hosted by Building America's Future. So big shout out to them, and huge shout out obviously to Lexit and to Jesus Marquez that made sure that we were there. But this was a very small event. It was supposed to be less than 300. It honestly looked like it was maybe just barely over 200. So it was a very intimate event, but it was a round table with we had different people that were running for different positions in the state of Nevada. Obviously, Donald Trump was there as well. Kind of discussing what he thought the biggest issues were, listening to our candidates, explaining what they believed were the strongest issues and what they're fighting for us. So we actually had our very own Lydia Dominguez from our Las Vegas, Nevada chapter. She was on the panel. She was sharing her story about being in the military, how they, oh my goodness, I always call it, name it incorrectly, a dishonorable discharge, because she refused to take and she has two boys. She's a single mom. They forced her out, and then she attempted to run for office to try to make a change. They wouldn't allow her to because they wouldn't officially let her leave from the military. So there was a lot going on with that, but she's now running for school board, fighting to correct all of the issues, because we are at the bottom of the barrel in Nevada. Education here is absolutely horrifying. We also had Rafael. We had a couple other ladies that were sharing their stories. We had Myra Flores, who was moderating the event, so that was absolutely incredible. The CEO of Goya was there, and he was talking to us. He was fantastic. I mean, just the jokes that he was throwing out were amazing. Obviously, they never compare to Donald Trump's jokes. I mean, he I don't even remember the whole story, but he just came out of nowhere and was saying "que mala," like not Kamala, but "que mala." And I mean, the whole room just erupted because it was so perfectly just sprinkled in there. But he spoke to us. He listened to us. He sat there. He spoke to everyone. Shook everyone's hand. Thanked everyone for being there. Like, this is a candidate that's actually listening to the people. You could see on his face how concerned he was. He understood the stories and the things that we've all been going through in our state, and even not even just in Nevada, but just as Latinos, and so it meant a lot for him to understand, how we're struggling to fight for our family values, to fight for that nuclear family, to protect our kids, to ensure that they're getting a proper education, right? That they're not being indoctrinated by this, trans LGBT nonsense, protecting our faith, protecting our jobs, protecting our economy, protecting the small businesses, because he understood. I mean, that the entire tour is literally building America's future. It's everyone in the middle class. And he says it every single time. The middle class is who built this country. Every single time. The left tries to deny, but he says it every single time. And you can see the sincerity when he says it. So for him to be here and to speak to everyone and to listen, and just to have the opportunity to be a part of that small intimate group that got to be there to listen was absolutely phenomenal. And just the people that were there, and you start seeing everyone that's in this movement with you, that started this fight with you, because a lot of us really didn't get involved until COVID happened. So we've all been this very tight family, from 2020, especially here in Nevada. And so it was a very, very special event. Just to be there and just be in close proximities again to him. And just knowing that you can see the genuineness that he wants to make a difference. And it's very easy to see that genuineness and sincerity doesn't exist in the other party, because they're consistently battling to put these policies in place that are against every value that you hold. Everything that we're taught as Latinos, everything that we're taught from our faith is 100% the opposite that they're trying to put into place. And so to have a candidate that's actually sitting there listening, and he comes here all the time. I mean, I have friends all the time. They're like, "You're going to see Trump again? How many times are you going to see Trump? Like, are you just hanging out on the weekends?" Because he's here all the time. And I don't want to say that Latinos are kind of special, but I honestly feel like Trump has this special place in his heart for Hispanics, because I feel like there are more events for us. I might also just be biased because I'm only seeing, I'm not paying attention to other ones, but I feel like there's a reason why he's making such an impact with the Hispanic vote. Not only this election, because he made that happen in 2016, he made it happen in 2020, and it's happening again now for this election. I mean, he's getting record-breaking numbers with the Hispanic vote, and there's a reason why, because he's actually listening to us and understanding what our concerns are. He knows what we don't want, and he knows what we need. And just being in that room and seeing that rush of hope and excitement and energy was just something else. It was something else.
Out of control. Hey, really quick, before that's a great, you know what, Frankie, what you just said is so key, because you're actually able to see, not only are you able to see family that are in the trenches, but you're also seeing the genuine of somebody that does really care. You know what I mean? I mean, he's done it, in the past, and this time I feel that I don't know if you noticed, but over the last couple, assassination attempts, he's given the glory to where it's due. He says, if it wasn't for God, right, I would not be here, standing here, giving you. And I think that's kind of mellowed him, that humbled him. Mm-hmm. And I know that over the last couple of interviews, I've seen him so relaxed, so mellow, you know what I mean? So chill, which is something that, that's the Trump I knew in 2016. In 2020, the hype, because it's just the unknown, knowing that this, what he saw. And I'm sure that, he saw what most of us are seeing now. And so now I think we have a cool collective, president that will handle business. And I know it's going to happen. Before we go, guys, we've been getting hit really hard on Instagram. I do want to give a huge shout out to official me _Phil. Thank you, buddy, for joining. I also have Carrie Crash has been actively sending messages. We have so many people that are joining. Off the record, man, we're just going boom, 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 boom. We can't name them all, but there's a lot of people that are participating. Glassy Surf 77. Trump cares about all of us. Hey, see, they're. If you go ahead and give your final hit, where you from, where you're at, we're gonna name it right now before we go, and hopefully we can call out your name. All right.
Well, while they do that, I just have one question about the Trump event, though. Did he had a teleprompter?
He did not have a teleprompter.
Okay, all right.
It was crazy. I mean, who does that?
Bro, he didn't even have a teleprompter at the Bloomberg. I mean, at the the Bloomberg. What is it? The last one he shoot when he
Butler?
Yeah, what was it?
In Butler, Pennsylvania.
The one that he was in the economies. What right here on what's it called?
I know which one you're talking
Or
about.
is that about Coachella?
No, not the other one. In New York. It was in New York. It was an interview that he was sitting with somebody. I think it was one of the.
Oh, I thought you meant a rally. I'm sorry.
No. But he didn't even have a teleprompter in front of him. He was just the guy was just asking him questions. Remember that one time when he says many economists, again, they tell him many economists, but he can't name one,
No.
right? He's telling them like, hey, they say that you're wrong, that you're actually going to criticize. Dude, like, chill out. Like, like the economist got it wrong. Even you got it wrong, right? Remember he called him out on stage. It was like, you called it wrong. Come on now. I mean, everybody laughed, but it's true. This is the commander in chief. He calls it what it is. No teleprompter needed.
No, and I've seen him speak several times, and it was only a few times where I think he was actually using the teleprompter. But they're the majority of the times I don't think he's using
All
it.
right, we have Glassy Surf, Kona, Hawaii. We have Vinny Dog Radio, San Jacinto, California. We have Lissy Hopper, 16, Torrance, California. We have Twister, Miriam, teachers joined. We have Irma Barrio Simon from San Diego. We have Carrie, Carrie, you didn't mention the city right there. We have Salvador Tavares, Salinas, California. We do have people from everywhere, man. We got saludos from Denver, Colorado. We have saludos from, they keep on coming.
Amazing.
It's just so much. I can't keep up with them, bro. There's so many.
Yeah, well, I just want to give a shout out to all the people who's listening to us. When we started talking and discussing about doing this lives, one of the things that we want to bring is receipts. Want to bring. That's why we play the videos. That's why we play those images that we throw on the screen, because we want you to see what we're talking about and what we get the information from, and we're trying to get information from all the spectrum, right, from the left, from the right, and just show you what's out there. I know everybody's working, everybody's got jobs, and we do it too. But I do want to invest a little bit of my time that my Lord and Savior has allowed me to have. And I do have a little bit of time, so I do some research. We all do. We talked, about before we jump on, and then we talked about all kinds of things, and we got to do the backstage one day though.
Yeah, that's a must. That's a must.
Yeah, because it's fun.
That's for the real spicy topics.
But I do want to give glory where glory is due, and God has allowed me to be here today and talk to you guys. So I'm really thankful and humble that you guys are here with us. So hopefully this is helpful for you, and I just want to have tell you have a good night, and we'll be talking next week again.
Share it, guys. Share it on Instagram. Share it on X, and also on YouTube. People are telling us, hey, where can you find us on YouTube? Go ahead and go to the Lexit Movement on YouTube. You'll find it there. Also on X, you can find us on Lexit Movement on X, and Instagram, of course, Lexit Movement on Instagram. All right. And for the other ones, we're going to get Rumble up and running pretty soon. So I'm hopefully we can add you guys on Rumble, and we can get you guys all connected in there as well. Right. All right, everyone. God bless, and see you guys next week. All right. Take care. Thank you.